Okay, we're going to get started in a moment here. Oh, hey, Colin. How's it going? I'm just getting set up here, and we're going to get started momentarily. Just looking for a game to play so that we can, so I can do my commentary. Oh, hey, Mio Mio. Good to see you again. So I'm actually going to do I think I'm going to do a classical game. Well, it's just mostly a background. Oh, Nydorf. It depends. If there is a book. Mio Mio, what level are you? Um, if you want to play it with black, there's a book. Oh, what is his name? By Dave Vigorito on the Nydorf Sicilian. On Chessable, Grandmaster Alex Kolovic actually has a very good book on the Nydorf. And if you want older books, there's a book by Daniel King, I think, called Winning with the Nydorf that actually explains a lot of the concepts. But it depends on your level. If you're kind of an advanced player, the Vigorito book would be good. The Alex Kolovic Chessable book is good for um, a lot of players. Okay, 1650. Yeah, the Alex Kolovic book is good on Chessable if you like that. He explains the variations. Actually, the one I use for the Nydorf. The Vigorito book's a little more advanced. Um, I started looking at that, but it's I think that would be okay too. If you, it just depends. Um, Slightly different variations there. Colin, I'm listening to Stream Beats. It's a copyright free um, music, so I don't have to pay for it. Stream Beats, and just kind of want to have some background music so that while I'm thinking and not saying anything, we will be good here. So let me go ahead and we'll try to find a game here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with a 1510 game so we have time to analyze as well afterwards because I think that's where a lot of the value from this is going to be for everybody. Um, but yeah, feel free for you to comment. But the only thing I ask is not to recommend any moves while we're playing here. Okay, so I haven't played this in a while. This is called Elyekin's Defense, Knight to f6, and the basic idea is to immediately try to lure this pawn forward so that we can attack it later. Okay, and the idea in my system against it is to try to gain some space, as we'll see, and just try to develop sensibly. And so this is kind of the idea behind this is that we're going to attack white center. But in this particular system, white's going to get a little shot in here first to push this knight around. So black loses some time while white develops. Okay, and so taking here on d6, so it doesn't make sense to allow white to exchange on e5. So now I have the beginnings of this nice pawn center, but the key here will be to try to develop quickly and sensibly. So let's see here. I can play knight to f3 or knight to c3. I think they're both fine. Here, I think I'm going to play knight to f3 first. The only problem with that is that I'm allowing this pin, so maybe I shouldn't have played that first, but I think we're okay. Just a quick note on the music. I just have it on a random playback. Okay, G6 is played here. Now I'm just going to try to develop quickly and sensibly and try to get my king to safety pretty quickly here. We might be out of book already. Okay, bishop to G7. And here, let's see here. I think I can just castle. Could have played bishop to e3 as well. I'm kind of waiting to see what he does here. I might, if he plays, I might want to play h3 to prevent this. But now that my bishop's on e2, it's not that big of a deal either. Okay, black castles, and let's see here. Now I want to develop my, so a couple things here. At some point I might want to look at h3, but I think I need to develop my other pieces first. So knight to c3 is a logical move. At some point this might come, or even this, but not yet. Let's get our development out first. Some other things I might want to think of is looking at this f2 square. So this type of idea might come later, but it's not something I have to worry about right away. But definitely something that I want to think about. So I want to develop my queenside pieces here. And so this rook will come here. And so this type of setup is not too super ambitious, but it allows kind of a fine, a nice game without too much risk. So here's that bishop. And so the idea here, we're fine here because this bishop is covering this knight. So I have two defenders and black has two attackers. So there's not much to worry about there. And I'm just going to go ahead and play rook to c1 here, just so that this rook is off of this diagonal. And then this knight is protected too if there's some action here on d4. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Let me just double check this. I think I just want to take back here with the bishop. Actually, not too much thought has to go into that. I guess we have this here, but I do have some discoveries, which something I guess I could have thought about a little more. So b3 could have come a little earlier, but right now I think there's a little bit of danger if he takes here. Okay. Maybe I didn't fully calculate this out, but this open file actually is okay for me. This pawn is being threatened. So is there a way to take advantage of this? I mean, I could play a move like knight to a4, which of course threatens a few things. I could also make a move like queen to a4. No, not well. I can't do that because queen to b3 because this pawn is being threatened. So made a little bit of a miscalculation here, I think, but I don't think. I think we're actually in okay shape overall. I just have to come up with the way to counter attack here. Queen to e2 is a possibility. Yeah, no, I have to play fast. I do want to think a little bit. I don't want to totally. I am in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see. Queen to e2 is a possibility. Queen to b3 is a possibility. Let's see here. Let's play queen to b3. So I'm protecting this pawn. And if he takes here on e3, that's fine. I'm just going to play f takes e3 with the open f file. Okay. So he's a pawn up, but I've got some open lines, which always works well here. Oh, okay. It's my opponent telling me to play fast. So, well, interesting. He's attacking this pawn right here. But now I can actually play something like this. So I'm going to protect this two ways. And it's kind of funny when your opponent tells you to play fast. It's like he doesn't want you to think. Okay, so that's protected right there. And let's see here. What I'm thinking here is this is very vulnerable, this whole diagonal here. So is there a way that I can take advantage of that? I think let's go here, queen to c3, and then I can move this knight. And then start thinking about putting pressure on this knight here. Okay, thank you guys for watching today, and so I just need a move to figure out how to get out of trouble here. This bishop is pressuring here, but my knight has a nice position, and he won't be able to attack it without creating other weaknesses for himself. I've got a lot of pressure down this line as well. And so I might even think about doing something like this. This pawn sacrifice was somewhat unintentional. And look, my opponent's disconnected, so we'll see if he comes back. If not, we'll play another game. Um, I guess we could look at this as well, but I kind of wanted to get a whole game in. You might notice the background's a little different. I'm actually playing from my office. And there's a weird story behind that. I forgot the power cord for my computer when I left work yesterday. So normally I'm streaming this from my home and doing the analysis from my home, but I'm at my office today, so that's why I'm a little dressed up. Normally I try not to mix the two, but today it was a little unintentional because I don't have another power cord at home. Okay, so my opponent left. I guess he didn't want to do that, but let's go ahead and start one more. I'll take the win. We're going to try a different one. So hope everybody's doing well today. Thinking of starting a new series, kind of a road to a certain goal, to kind of document trying to improve. And so I hope you guys would. I'm thinking of doing sort of a weekly, maybe as part of the stream or part of a YouTube video series. I hope you guys are checking out Mondays. I'm putting out a new series I just started last week, Principles of Better Chess Training, that I started last week. Sort of what are the principles that you want to apply when you're improving at chess in order to make your training as efficient as possible. And this last week I did directness, which is if you want to improve, you want to play in a way, or you want to train in a way that's as direct as possible to the actual skills you're trying to improve. Okay, here we've got the birds opening. So we will play here like this. Okay, knight to f3. So far, so good. So birds is the idea here is to have control of these dark squares, and sometimes a kingside attack can happen. So we have to be a little bit careful about that. And the way we're going to try to approach it is that we're going to try to build up on the queen side. Okay, so now he's going for a stone wall, and that's fine as well. But basically here with black, we're going to play sort of a conservative type of setup where we're going to try to trade off this bishop with this one, and then we're going to castle on the queen side at some point. So I'm going to play h4, and the intention here is to play this. There's a lot of ways to play against this, but this way is nice because it... Let me decide here. Bishop to a6, and then if he goes with this check, then I think I just take it, and if he takes back with the queen, I push the queen back with c6, so I think we're okay. So you want to consider that before you play something like this. Okay, so here, let's see. I'm thinking that I want to castle, but the danger is if I were to castle, and then does he have an opportunity to attack here? I don't think he does because my knight is still here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and castle. I need to kind of resolve this before he moves forward, though. So I've played these type of stonewall structures on the other side as well, and they can be very powerful because if this knight gets here to e5, there's a lot of spaces it can attack. And so the typical setup would be to take there, but it's something where you have to be careful too. Here again, I need to wait to see what he's going to do here before I do too much in the way of counterattack. So here c5 is lending itself right now. If I play c5, if he takes here, I take the bishop first. and also that prevents him from pushing. But the problem is if he plays something like this, knight to e5, then I think I have to play queen to c7. So um, that's actually fine as well. And then if he takes here, that weakens this diagonal, and I can play bishop takes. So let's go ahead and play c5. I think that looks fine. Hey Dan, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. So we just played a game earlier, and my opponent just disconnected. Um, so that was fine. Okay, so bishop to, let's see here. We have bishop to b2. So now exchanges here. I want to play knight b to d7, but then I have to consider all the exchanges here. But I think as long as I have time to play bishop takes d3, I think I'm okay. So do I play queen to c7 first? I think I play this because maybe because I need to cover this square, especially if he takes here on c5. But looks like he's just building up. Okay, well, this is an interesting position because this knight is now blocking the bishop. So do I have anything by just taking here? And now he's forced to either take back with the knight, which weakens this square, or if he takes back with the pawn, it opens up this file, but also it isolates this pawn maybe. It gives me a chance to attack it. So taking here on d4, e takes d4, then rook to c8. Now the other option is to play something like rook to c8 now. Is he threatening something like knight to b5? If I play queen to c7, he plays something like knight to b5. That would be kind of annoying as well. And d takes c4 doesn't look great here. Hope you're doing well today, Dan. I think you know that whenever I'm playing here, just don't need to suggest any moves, but if you have any questions about the moves I'm making, then feel free to do so. In my last game, I kind of got to a little disadvantage, but he ended up quitting anyway. Okay, I want to play rook to c8. That's like the positional move I want to play, but I'm not sure if I can get away with it. And c takes d4 now. I'm thinking is a little premature because he can actually play. That e takes d4 allows him to kind of get what I want, which is getting rid of this weakness. Rook to c8. Always have to just be prepared to play this bishop takes. Now rook to c8, knight to b5. I think I might just have to take. So, okay, you know what? Let's do that. And the idea there is if he plays knight to b5, I don't have to take it. I could actually open up the c file at that point, and then that'll make this rook a lot better. A little bit. Knight to e5, the typical formula is just to take on e5 with the knight. Because if I allow it to sit there, I mean, it gives him a lot of play. So when you have this stone wall, you want to put this knight on e5. But when you look at the master games, they often don't do it right away unless there's nothing challenging it. Because then you just take, and then after he takes one of the pawns, he's going to get this nice f file. But there's ways to challenge it. You play the other knight back to d7, and then you play f6 at some point to break this up even more. So that's sort of the usual way to combat it. Or you play f6 and then you play g5. The whole point is you try to break up the center here. Okay, so now he's looking to build up slowly here and actually showing a lot of patience. Actually, it's kind of funny. I was playing Risk with this app, and it was actually very telling for chess too. It's that it sometimes you got to be patient and not um, trigger, not try to open things up until the time is right. And so, but the problem is here is that how else can I improve my position while um, looking at this? So maybe moving my queen might be a way to do that. C takes d4. Does that do anything? Taking with the knight is not necessarily a good idea. Taking with the pawn will just open up the e file. And what I'd love to do, but I don't think I have time to, is actually get my own knight to e4 and then maybe play f5 myself. But again, I don't know if that's in the cards. So queen to c7, knight to b5 is a threat, but then maybe I could just play queen to b8 even, or queen to c6, or queen to b7. So again, there's a lot of options here. The main battles are on these squares that I have to consider. I don't want to play d takes c4. I don't think that does anything good for me. It just helps him, I think. Knight to g5 is another thought that I have to be careful of. Do I play something like h6? So, where do you feel it's worth pushing the castle king's pawns? I feel like I focus too much on keeping those pawns. Yeah, it just depends. You have to look at how you can follow up and if your opponent has an opportunity to take advantage of it. The releasing of the tension, like right now, it would be good because his forces, for example, would have more opportunity than mine. So, but I could release some of the tension or have some preventative measures as well. So actually, what I'm going to do now, I'm glad you brought that up, is I'm going to look at a move like h6, and the reason I'm doing that is to prevent him doing something like this, but also actually look at something like that. Okay, here comes that knight to e5, and let me show you what we're going to do there. We're going to actually play. Well, do I have to take here? I don't have to take here. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm going to take right away. I don't have to think about this too much. So this is kind of the formula. You take here. Now the only problem is that he might try to get in something like this. Okay, and then now with my knight, I come back here, and the idea is to attack this with f6. Okay, now he's taking. It looks like he's winning a pawn, but I'm going to grab here first. And actually, this isn't looking too great, but I think, do I have some type of combination here? Okay, so I think I might have miscalculated here just a tiny bit, but do I need to sacrifice? So this is a threat. I think I need to take here. Okay, and then now he's putting pressure there. Yeah, I'm not super happy about this position. Not super happy about this position. Okay. Rook to e8. The idea behind here is to protect this bishop. If he takes it, I take here, and then I've got two defenders on d7. But what I'd like to do is actually play something like this. So here I made a mistake. We're actually going to look at this game afterwards. Well, yeah, I think somewhere in there I made a mistake. He's up a pawn now, but I'm not super worried about it. Putting the pressure on here. Um, Yeah, well, yeah, this is not happy times for me. Um, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play. Let's see here. Yeah, this is forcing me to play very defensively. So yeah, I'm not too happy about this. Bishop f8 is what I'm looking at, or bishop to b8. He's got two pawns here, and here my opponent has played well. Yeah, now I'm looking maybe something like this, but see, I've got some problems here, guys. So we will try our best to defend. Currently, I have to watch out for this as well, but this queen could come out here, and I have time to defend. You know, and even have a move maybe like just sacrificing another pawn to get some activity here. Okay. Um. Ah. Okay. Well, I think I have to take. Do I even have to think about this? Okay, he's going to win this knight. Okay. Ah. Look at that. So it looks like I'm losing this one, guys. Sorry. um, do I get any counterplay here? Do I need to? Can I play on? Okay, I'm going to resign. This one's pretty much over. Sorry, guys. That was kind of rough. Let's take a look at that real quick. Let me switch over here. So, switching over to analysis. Let me let's go and look at that real quick. And I made a mistake. Yeah, White did really well there. Let's see, sometimes the best defense is pressure. Yeah. Um, oh, okay. If you want to play, yeah, we can. Yeah, Dan, if you want to play, let's just take a look at this real quick. Let's go back here and let's just throw on the engine just to see what happened here. Um, so here it looks like it's about even, and in this position, it's actually suggesting I play knight to c6 instead. And here it says it's even. Okay. Um, here, I think maybe this is a position where I already am allowing too much. I think I have to play something like this. And then if he takes back here, then maybe I have to put pressure here. So this looks okay here. Let's look for where it's already too late. So knight to e5, and here this is the mistake because of the combination we saw. Okay. So here instead, if I played this first, e takes d4, then here it's like bishop to b4. Not quite sure. Still pretty good for white. Yeah, this was one where I think I'll need to analyze how. So let's look at right about right about here is where my position. That's too early. Let's go a little further. Right here, the position is still in book, and here is where maybe I had an opportunity to look for improvement. And here I could have, there's two ideas, actually three. So I played c5, and that move is actually fine. Could have also just backed off on the whole idea and looked at maybe opening this way or playing something like this. And then after he takes e4, knight to e5, then maybe playing something like queen to e8, followed by f6. Okay, but okay, let's move on, I guess. And yeah, no, yeah, no, white. Well, white is higher rated than me. It's rated about 2160 here. So yeah, knight to c6 was suggested there instead of knight to d7 by the computer. But again, I'd have to analyze it more to see why that is. Maybe on a general, this was sort of a tactical um, way of doing it, and maybe I just didn't look at that too much. But yeah, if you want to play one, we can look, and then if you can mute it if you want, then you can watch it later. So go ahead and send me, Dan, if you want, you can go ahead and send me the challenge. Oh, let's go back to the home page here, and yeah, we'll take a look at that at some point, or maybe I'll analyze it and show it. I'm just noticing here that the analyzing live is sometimes not so great. Yeah. Dan, if you want to send me a challenge, you can. Otherwise, or okay, then we can play a little bit. Is that something you'd like to see? Okay, let's go ahead and try this. Okay, this is a game against Dan, who is one of the listeners. So I'm hoping he's going, like I said, he's going to mute himself. And we're going to try this out. And he's actually playing. You know what? Let's play. We're going to play the. I often play the Sicilian, but we're going to play the French today. Dan is. Is that something you guys would like? If we did this and I played games against anyone who wants to play, and then we can, uh, you guys can look at the commentary afterwards. That would be a way to do that as well. We'll try to play a little better this game. So here, French defense, pretty standard. Um, there's a few options here. He can push for the advanced. He can play knight to d2 or knight to c3. He can do the exchange variation, and those would be your four main things to look at for the French. Okay, he's going to play this option here, the classical variation, and I play knight to f6. So putting here, the pressure here is on e4, sort of its tension now. A lot of times white will advance to e5. And so the general idea here is that black takes on a little space disadvantage in order to try to, how shall we say, counterattack. Okay, now here, bishop to g5, one of the standard moves. And in this particular case, I can transpose into the Rubinstein. So let me think about how I want to do this. I can attack him with h6. Or I can take first. Let's see here. I think I want to take first and then play knight to b7. So d takes, I forget the exact move order here. h6, if he takes, I take back with the queen, and then he plays e5, and I play queen to d8 again. If he plays if I take here first, he takes back with the knight, and then I play knight to d7, and then we're more into the Rubinstein French. So I just forget what the best way to do this. Of course, I can't do nothing because then he plays e5 here. Let's see. I'm going to take. I think this is safe. So French is something I've played in the past, but have not played it in a while. So we will see what's going on here. So I do have this motivation to try to improve my chess more so than I have been. And so doing this on stream is kind of one of the ways I'm hoping to motivate myself. But I think one of the things to do here is try to be more thoughtful about my moves, but also to really do that analysis later. I'm actually finding it hard to analyze live on stream, and maybe it's because I'm not looking to try to say something more active. But I've seen in other people who do that sometimes it could be more kind of experimental, and I can't be afraid to do that as well. So we'll see. I'm wondering if I should play the game and then analyze offline, and then maybe come back at a future time or make a video where I analyze the games. And I did that recently in a video I had yesterday. So Dan is someone I've played before. He's actually in the chess club with me, and he's a very good developing player here. But we're going to try to very, very interesting. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you what. Let's hit you. Let's see. This is very aggressive. If I hit you with h6, and then you take here, I just take back with the e-pawn. If I take, then queen takes. So that gets a little bit messy. You know what? I don't think if I take here on d5 and then you take, then I just take with my knight. If I take on d5 and then you take my knight, I take back with my knight, and then now my queen is protecting it. If you take again, I can actually take with my g-pawn. So that actually looks good either way. Now if you take with your, if you don't take, if I take and then you take with your knight, then I take with my knight first. And then if you take on here with my, if you take here with the bishop, then I can actually take with my queen. And then if you get it back, I'm going to get a little bit of an initiative here with something like bishop to b4 check. So I'm actually thinking taking here is good on d5. h6 is the other option. If I take with h6 and then you take with your bishop, and then I take with my knight, you take with your knight, and then I take with my queen, for example, and then you try to take on e6, I just take back with check, and it's about an even game. So actually in the, so I think that e takes d5 is actually a very interesting game. Actually, there is a difference in that I'll have the two bishops and you won't. You'll have one bishop. So, So it's something that, you know what, this is actually kind of fun. So maybe Fridays we'll make a play against the viewers. Let's see here. It's making me really think here. E takes d5, and then there's three main options. Queen takes, knight takes, okay, bishop takes, okay. So let's do a little calculation. E takes d5, queen takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d8, and then king takes d8, and then I'm up a piece, it looks like. Okay, so that's doesn't look good. So e takes d5, knight takes f6, knight takes f6, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, queen takes d5, and then I have, let's say, bishop to b4 check. And so now, let's say c3, and actually play bishop takes c3 check. And then if b takes c3, queen takes c3 check. And then if the king doesn't move, I'm winning the rook. So I'd be winning the exchange plus a couple pawns. And if the king does move, then I'm still taking the rook. And then if the queen tries to check, I can bring my queen back. So that's actually interesting as well. So d takes, and then if bishop takes, I think we're transposing into a similar type of thing. So I think e takes d5 is offering me the best counterplay here. So I think we're going to do this on Fridays, and maybe I'll put a little notice earlier in the week. You can challenge me, and we can play a game together. I can try to play a couple games, and then we can see what is happening here. Now, again, I think oh, okay. Now here, the problem is that I can play c6, and there's almost no negative consequences of that. And see, I'm attacking here as well. I don't know, is this a big mistake? Or is he just losing a piece here? I see. If I play d takes e4, I think his idea is he takes bishop takes, and then if queen takes, well, I don't think there's a negative to this. If queen takes, then what? Is there even a negative to this? D takes e4. What am I missing here? Because my bishop is protecting here. D takes e4. Bishop takes f6. Queen takes f6. And then now he's got his queen and his bishop attacking, but there's nothing happening, I guess. Now, alternatively, I can play c6. So this is good for your thinking process. You want to come up with more than one candidate move. Is I can play c6 first, but then, okay, then let's say he plays knight takes f6, knight takes f6, and then the problem here is that he's going to have this bishop is still having troubles. Bishop takes f6, and then here I can actually play queen takes f6, and then this bishop is being attacked. So once he moves this bishop, I can even look at moves like, again, that bishop to b4 check. So I can play c6. Now, so let's look at both. D takes e4, and then here naturally bishop takes f6, queen takes f6 would be the most forcing moves. Alternatively, d takes e4, bishop takes d7, and I think I just play bishop takes d7, and then again my knight is doing okay there. I think I'm just up a piece. Okay, let me see. Is there any other tactics? I mean, if he plays something like d takes e4, and then let's say he plays queen to d4, attacking this pawn, then I think I can play, at that point, maybe play c6, because I'm willing to give up a little here. I'm willing to give up the e4 pawn, because if he tries to take it, I take it with the knight, and he takes my queen, but then I take his bishop, and then his bishop is still being attacked. So I think I'm just up a piece. Let's play it. It's a little more extended there than would normally it would normally be. So let's see if I'm missing anything tactically. But I think here we're in good shape. I think he's just down a piece now. Remember, he sacrificed this pawn here. So normally this d4-5 move wouldn't be what I'd be expecting, but let's see. Let's see. The problem is here is that I really don't have any. The problem is here is I really don't have any issues. So far we're 1 for 1 today. I don't feel like I'm playing too well, but I think this game is pretty good overall. So I think Black's just winning here. And I think my opponent knows it. So we'll see if he keeps playing on now. Dan is not listening to the stream, so I'm letting him know that we did a lot of calculation so that he can see what I saw during this. Now, if he plays on, we're going to keep. The key here is that we want to make sure that we can put this game away and not take anything for granted. So it's very important for me to be careful. And he's going to play on. So to his credit, he's going to play on. And unfortunately for him, that is going to be a difficult game. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to play c6. Just it forces him to take another tempo. And then I'm going to get my king out of dodge if I can. So the idea here is to push his bishop back. He might want to get onto this diagonal, and then I'm going to play bishop to e7. He doesn't have enough firepower here yet. And then after that, I'm going to castle. And what's nice about the c6 move is it's covering the d5 square. Now, if he leaves his bishop there, well, if he leaves his bishop there, I'm just going to take it. But let's say he goes to something like a4, then he has to be careful of these checks. Not really dangerous because if he plays c3, this queen would be covering it, but we will see. And for those of you just joining us, playing one of the viewers who has it muted so he can't hear what I'm saying. But I think what we do on Fridays is if you guys want to play against me, you can do that and watch the commentary. So we can do that in the future for anyone who wants to get involved. And what we're going to do right after this game is just show you the opening phase and what normally happens. Because right up to the time he played d5, he was doing quite fine. Okay, so here, actually, you know what? We have a chance to put this away like this. Okay? And so that should cause resignation. Oh, actually, no, he can. Yeah, if he plays queen to d2, if he plays bishop here, then I take this one. So too many weaknesses here. Okay, and I'm going to grab this guy. So hopefully I didn't blunder there. And so we will see. Okay, if my opponent resigns here, I'm willing to play anyone else. So okay. Okay, now he's going to castle. And here, let's go ahead and develop. What is the best way to do that? Now, I could do something interesting with, is my king safe enough? I could do something. No, let's get our king to safety first. So bishop to c5 is the more aggressive move. And bishop to e7 is the more, I would say, safe move. The move I was thinking I would love to play is knight to e4. But I get into a little trouble. I want to play this, but this rook to e1 now, I'm a little worried about. But actually, bishop to c5 is possible. And then, let's see, bishop to c5, rook to e1, and then I think I just castle and give this pawn back. Okay, let's do that. The reason why I just need to get my king out of dodge now. Now things like knight to g4 are possible. So at this phase of the game, when you're winning, you don't want to do anything too crazy, but look at all of this development against what he's got on board. So the key here is to get this king out of trouble, because rook to e1 now is his main source of counterplay at this point. They might do something like, he can even play something like knight takes e4, and then if knight takes e4, rook to e1. But in that case, I just give back the piece. There's no reason to try to save it. Actually, you can't. That's one reason why I played bishop to c5, because now this pawn is pinned. So keeping your king safe and avoiding any counterplay or stopping any counterplay is what we want to do here when we're winning. Okay, queen to e2 again. That is fine, and I'm just getting the bishop or my queen out of trouble here. And the idea will be knight takes, queen takes, and then knight to f6, and then get my bishop out, and then everything should be fine. Now, what I would say is if you're playing, so good question is whether you should resign or not resign. And the idea here is you see any sort of counterplay or see any sort of hope that you can see if your opponent's going to make a mistake. I think it's good to play on for most part. But okay, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, like we said, and now knight to f6. And then everything is developed almost. But here, in this case, there's not too much in the way of chances, but maybe Dan is trying to see how I convert this, which is fine as well. Main mistake he made earlier in the game was pushing that d5. He was playing into the book moves, the theoretical moves from there on. Now, this game isn't over, so we are going to be very careful. But as long as I don't somehow screw it up, which can happen, of course. As long as I don't screw it up, we should be okay. Now, I would say one thing he has these two rooks that can become active, so I want to be careful and make sure my back rank is safe. But again, this bishop is sort of out of, he might need to play something like c3 and then get here, but again, he's not going to have time to do that right now because he has to get his queen to safety. So the nice thing about this particular game is that I've been able to get my other pieces active while I develop my remaining pieces, because even though I won some material, it cost some time, but I was able to get that time back because I'm attacking his pieces while he is attempting to, while he's attempting to catch up. So I like this. So Fridays, I think this is what we're going to do on Fridays. I'll let you guys know ahead of time. If you want to play me, you can either let me know or we can try to get onto, challenge me on the stream. And then maybe we'll play. This is a 30-30 game, but I think what we'll do is play like a 15-10 games, or maybe even blitz. I don't think it's as instructive to play blitz, but maybe play 2 or 3 games. Okay, so here, queen to d3. What I think I need to do is develop my bishop. And what I'm thinking is not to attack him, although that's an option, but actually to play bishop to e6, which will allow me to try to take over this d file. And also maybe even look at moves like bishop to d5 targeting here. So let's do that. because the key is here, I'm up so much material, basically up 2 pieces, that I just want to secure any type of counterplay. So this bishop is safe. Um, this bishop I'm going to maybe drop back here, and then I'm going to play this rook here. I can't play it right away. If you put the rook on the d file, I'm not going to play it right away. Actually, if he puts a rook on the d file, what I'm going to do is play. I'm sorry. What I'm going to do is play bishop to d5. And see what happens. So I think I played a pretty clean game, but what I liked about this one is that I'm actually looking looking at the moves and trying to um, what am I trying to say? Looking at the consequences of my moves, and I think it's both instructive for anyone viewing, but also what I should be trying to do in all of my chess games. Actually, bishop to d5 looks really good here. I think you'd have to play something like queen to g3 or queen to h3 to even stop me. Just even had a thought of what queen takes to g2 check, just blowing things up, but we don't need to take risk like that. I don't think it leads to anything in particular. The only reason why I'd even consider something like that is this pawn is pinned, so he can't play this. What do you guys play against 1e4? I play the French, as we saw here. I also play the Sicilian. In the past, I'd play 1e5 as well. I never really delved into, well, a long time ago, 20 years ago, I played the Scandinavian. It's kind of an aggressive variation called the Portuguese. But, okay, this is interesting. So here, he's trying to prevent this bishop to d5, but now this is going to allow me, I think. Let me think about this. I see he wants to bring this here to c2, but I think I can just play rook to d8 first. I'm going to play rook to d8. So key here is to not give him any time to play what he wants to play. And really trying to eliminate any sources of counterplay. So now this is kind of shifted. He wants to get his bishop back in. This is actually I would say this is a good move. He wants to get his pieces back into play here. But the problem is his queen is coming under a lot of fire. And he needs to keep it where he can maybe defend here. So we want to be careful. Now he's got another weakness here in a way. So he has to keep it along these lines. If he wants to play it, for example, to c3, now that almost gets rid of all of his counterplay along the along this diagonal. And then I'm even considering stuff like this with the h pawn start to break him open even more. So even though it's a comfortable position for me, we still need to keep thinking. All right, queen to c2. See, and again, the problem he has is that he doesn't really, now this bishop again is weak. And here, what can we do? I can go h5, then h4 and h3. That would put a lot of pressure on him. In fact, can I just play bishop to h3 here? Bishop to h3, and I think that would force g3. and then winning a rook here, because the problem now is that he cannot defend it with this queen, and so that's really a problem here. Bishop to h3 looks really good here, because if he can't take it because this pawn is pinned, and he can't. I think this is okay. This is going to be it. I think. I think that's going to be it, guys. So. Yep, I do believe that that should be it. Okay. Now, the question is, do I want to take, or do I just want to maybe even increase my pressure here? Can I play? I think I can actually just go for checkmate here with queen to g4 and queen to f3, because to stop me, I don't think he can stop me. And then let's say, well, he can try to play something like queen to c3, but then if he does that, I think I can just play queen to e4. So anything, and of course he can't. He tries to play queen. Can't play queen to d1 because he's going to lose his queen. If he plays, he can't play queen to e2. Now I think that's it. Dan, of course, doesn't like to resign. It's good spirit. I think it's going to be tough here for him, though. And it's good for me to practice my technique. So, technique is when you have an advantage that should be pretty forced, being able to actually bring it about, and in this case, in the most efficient way possible. And I think this is going to be the last game for today. Okay, so queen here, and the problem is that now mate, I believe, is forced, because this pawn is pinned. So that should be it. That should be all she wrote. Okay. What we're going to do is we'll take a quick look back at the opening. And maybe take a look at what the main line would be. Okay. And, yep, you resign. Good game. So what I'm going to do here, let's just go to the analysis board. Take a quick look at this. Okay. And if we look at the opening, I'm turning on Lichess's Opening Explorer, and this was the mistake. Okay. And normally here, knight to f3 is played. And then what I plan on playing, which is the main line, is h6. And then knight to f6 check, knight to f6, and then bishop to h4. And then this is the key behind this French defense line, is this c5. Okay. Now, there's a couple main moves here. One is to play bishop to c4, just developing. After c takes d4, white castles, and then bishop to e7. Here we can see that it is just fine position for black. And if we go back here, the more, I think, sharper is a bishop to b5 check, bishop to d7, and bishop takes d7 check. And then the whole idea is if the queen takes d7, if white plays bishop takes f6, g takes f6, we have this imbalanced game. D takes c5, bishop takes c5, and then we go into this end game where my pawns are a little damaged, or black's pawns are a little damaged, but we have this bishop against the knight. So that's kind of the idea behind this particular opening, what could have been played. But as we saw during the game, black basically blunders here with d5. And let's take a look at this real quick, why that's a problem. Here, can white have done anything differently? I think he could have. I think here he has to bail out. Knight takes f6 check, which we calculated. Knight takes f6. And then, of course, if we play something like this, then we can block. I didn't consider that too much during the game because I thought he was putting a lot of pressure here. But let's say he takes, then here I can just give the pawn back, and this is the main consideration I was looking at. If queen takes d5, then bishop to b4 check was sort of my reply that I intended during the game, as you may have seen. So I'll let you guys check that out later. And queen takes d5. Yeah. Let's go back here to the game. Take, and here, which Dan, which queen to d5 are you referring to? Queen takes d5. You mean queen to but in any case, the game from there, pretty much this fork is a good one to know here. So you want to take a look at that type of thing. Okay. Let me just make sure that we didn't make any other big mistakes here. Let's go to the game here. Okay. So yeah, I think I played pretty well from here on out. I think it's pretty downhill from here. I thought this move was pretty nice. I think here g3, preventing that mate. And yeah, that's a heartbreaker right there as well. Okay. Oh, queen takes e5 on move 6. Let me take a look here at what you are mentioning. Oh, d5. Oh, I see. Well, the problem here, I think, after queen takes d5 is knight takes d5 and bishop takes d5. Then I'm just up this rook here. Let's say you do something like you castle, then I think I can just I can defend, but I could even just go back, say, to here. Now I can't really go back here, it looks like, because of this is kind of messy, but now I'm just up a piece. So I think the queen takes d5 I looked at during the game, and you can hear my comments if you watch this video later. I think, yeah, I think if that was your intention, you probably saw that during the game that wasn't that great. But I think had you not blundered later, I think that would have been a little better. But yeah, I think d5 was not too great, but that's why we learned from it. I think your opening before that was pretty is theoretical. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me just show you my schedule so you guys can take a look at it. Um, Here next, I'll be up on Twitch on Tuesday, same time roughly, and we're going to be doing a master game on Tuesday. I know I didn't do that last week, and then on Friday we'll do this. Except we'll do it maybe a challenge. People want to play. Maybe I can get 2 or 3 games in during that time. And Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays I'm doing the Principles of Chess, Better Chess Training video series. Very short videos with principles of how to improve your chess from a scientific standpoint or from a principled standpoint. And Thursdays kind of a mixed bag analysis type thing. Okay, and I have to get back to my blog writing on Wednesdays. But well, guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, I think I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for coming.